Hi friends, today let us start another session related to CNS system, where we are trying to do different episodes from past 2 to 3 videos or before that also, and we were talking about the neurotransmitters related to the brain system, and it also related to anti-Parkinsonism, anti-epilepsy. There are different topics we were dealing about that. And today let us go to another step forward and about living about our topic, what is called as opioid analgesics. And this opioid analgesics, as we were representing it, they can be divided into two words as I presented over here. This is the first one, this is the first word, and this is the second word. So let me finish off what is opioid. Actually, opioid is a narcotic substance which are used to make some unconscious stage, and also it is a natural product which is available in the nature, called as Papaver somniferum, called as opium, and related products to the opium taken from papaya seeds, and also different types of morphine, codeine, heroin, and they vary different semi-synthetic products taken from those opium products. The one of the semi product is called as thebaine. And now today we are dealing about opioid. As I told you, it is taken from a plant called as opium seeds or Papaya somniferum. So these opium seeds are some seeds which give you little bit unconsciousness. That means we can deal it as a narcotic substance. That means we feel little bit unconsciousness with those type of drugs, and these opioids can be divided into various types and be classified into various types. Now let me discuss what is analgesics. Analgesics is a word or a drug which is taken to relieve pain. That means we are trying to reduce pain. And actually, what is a pain? Pain is a stimulus which is received by the brain in order to express some unwanted things, or whenever there is some bleeding, whenever there is some hitting substance onto the organ or onto the body, we feel pain. So what is that pain? Pain is a unpleasant feeling which has been supported to the CNS and came back from CNS via your spinal cord and receiving you that you have some spots of pain at that particular point. So in order to give you some pain, how it is done? So imagine yourself, this is a pain reliever taking from your hand. You have small pain onto the little finger. You have a small wound. You have a small cut. So let me represent that cut with red, so that you can understand that it is little danger. And now this having relieving pain has to be submitted to the NS, and it has to take its route via nociceptual receptors or nociceptual neurons. Those are called non-acception neurons, non-acception nerves we can call. And these are the nerves which are trying to prolong or enhance to the brain via your spinal cord to the dorsal nerve and carrying it to the pain centers in the brain, the cortex center, which is sensible and receives your pain and transports into periphery of hypothalamus region, and also some more areas called as trigeminal nucleus, which is present in limbic system. So at the center of your hypothalamus, you can watch a system called limbic system, which is a center of pain, and from your little finger it has been transported by a spinal cord and reaching into your limbic system. So let me do that limbic system in another color so that it will be a little bit visible for us. So this limbic system is the one which carries or taking the perceptions of the pain that has been received from the organs and transmitted into it, and once it has to be transmitted, it has to take the message that the pain is something, disorder is there, something disability is there in our body, and that message is once again passed on to the little finger via your spinal cord and receives by your spinal cord, and you feel the purpose of pain. So this is pain. Pain means an unpleasant feeling what we are confronting with the disabled conditions at any injury or at any burning sections. That is called a pain. And now this analgesics are the drugs which are inducing, or we can say it is inhibiting pain and also relieving pain. So those drugs are called as analgesics, and these analgesics can be divided into two. One is called as opioid, which is nothing but narcotic type. That means we feel unconsciousness, little bit unconsciousness, and also the pain will be relieved within your unconsciousness. And the next part is non-narcotic. That means we are not having any feeling of narcotic consciousness, but we always have the consciousness that pain is being relieved. So these are also called as NSAIDs, nothing but non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and these are non-narcotic drugs and these are narcotic drugs. Narcotic drugs are nothing but opioid drugs. Now today the topic is about narcotic analgesics, or we can call it as opioid analgesics. So let me proceed with the topic, what is happening over here. As I told you, this is a system related to CNS which has been passed on to the limbic system, where the limbic system is fully made up of different types of neurotransmitters, where we can see glutamate neurons, we can see GABA neurons, we can see 5-HT neurons, we can see different types of substances called as substance P, we can see different type of neurosubstances like 5-HT3, and we can see dopamine, we can see ACTH, different types of neurotransmitters we have been synthesized in our brain. But today, as we know that the pain has to be passed through the CNS to the particular point and indicating you that there is a pain for you. So that is done by the excitation of the neurons, nothing but the action potential of the neurons, nothing but the depolarization of the neurons. So what happens, the excitation neurotransmitters which are purposeful for this particular transportation is called as glutamate neurons. So we need to consider glutamate neurons over here. Why? Because they go on excited and giving you the passage that we have pain at that particular area. As we already dealt about the glutamate, how it is synthesized and what is happening into the glutamate in our past videos. If you have some doubts, you can jump onto that videos and go for a watch. But this year we have just brief of account of it, how the glutamate is going to excite for you. And we know that each glutamate neurons are made up of presynaptic and also the postsynaptic, and the between is called as a synaptical junction. And onto the glutamate you have different types of ionic channels or the voltage gated ionic channels. Here we are indicating about your sodium and the calcium, and we know that they are seminal vesicles which are always the storage of glutamate. And these receptors or the nerves, there is not only a storehouse of glutamate, they are also storage of different neurotransmitters what are called as substance P. And other one is called as CGRP, nothing but calcitonin growth related protein. And this is also one of the neurotransmitter which has been present into the glutamate neurons. Glutamate presynaptic neurons. And glutamate is also one of the neurotransmitters which is very important for the excitation of your neurons. And you have a correlated neurotransmitter along with glutamate is called as NT. We know that the substance NP is related to the arachidonic acid, nothing but the pain carriers which release a substance called cyclooxygenase. So this substance P is related to this type of neurotransmitter. And we have another neurotransmitter called CGRP, nothing but calcitonin growth related protein neurotransmitter. So once the neurotransmitter or the pain has been sending the message to the CNS system, this glutamate neuron has to be excited. Why we need to excite? It means in order to excite only, this synaptic vesicles comes to the end of the presynapse and that starts releasing this glutamate neurotransmitter into the synaptical junction. So the ones which are released over here are the glutamate neurons. And along with the glutamate, I told you it is been also releasing another substance or the neurotransmitter called substance P. That was included in blue. And the other neurotransmitter related to pain is called as CGRP, that I am including in black. Here you can see one with red with red. So this is called CGRP. So these are released into the synaptical junction so that this synaptical junction will have the collection of those neurotransmitter and tries to inhibit into the post synapse. And we know that the post synapse is always consists of different types of receptors to control the hold of different neurotransmitters what are released by the pre-synapse. Here we know that the glutamate neurotransmitters are having two types of receptors as we already dealt in our past videos. So this is called AMPA neurotransmitter and the other one is called as NMDA neurotransmitter. So this is being shown here. AMPA, NMDA. So the excitation is always starts with flow of sodium ions and flow of calcium ions. More the calcium and more the sodium, the positivity of your presynapse will be increased and we go for the depolarization activity. So once it releases, this neurotransmitter is being passed into the AMDA and also NMDA, making your channel for calcium 2 plus into the presynapse and post from the presynapse into the postsynapse, and this Ca2 plus is being increased more and more in number in postsynapse. And later we have substance P, and this substance P is a neurotransmitter which is being submitted into the postsynapse by another receptor called as NK1. And this NK1, once it has been entered into the neurotransmitter, it is giving you the value for potassium. It makes the flow of potassium. That means the efflux of potassium. And so this is being converted itself into PKC, nothing but protein kinase C. And this protein kinase C is helping you for making CAMP molecules which have been excited more and more for the purpose. And these and also the third neurotransmitter which is present at the top is called as CGRP, calcitonin growth protein, calcitonin growth related protein, and it also have its own receptor where it has been passed and enters into your post synapse. So if you see, we can see three types of receptors for glutamate for 2 NK1 for the substance P, and CGRP for CGRP receptor. And so once these are all enters into your neurotransmitter into the postsynapse, what happened? The excitation has to start in postsynapse. So how it started? It is making more and more way for the calcium ions to flow inside. So what we know that more and more the calcium ions, the more and more the positivity. So relating to the hyperpolarization and also for the excitation. And now we'll come to the receptor, what we want over here. This is called opioid receptors. So in order to make the pain passed from one neuron to the other neuron or pre-synapse to the post-synapse, this is done by a receptors called as opioid receptors, which are called as pain receptors. And this is the only work of glutamate neuron receptors who carry opioid receptors will act as a pain receptors. And on to the top of it, now I have indicated over here in red line, the receptor consists of three parts. One is alpha, nothing but alpha mu, kappa and sigma. And sometimes you go for delta also. So this delta is little bit, actually this mu and kappa are both same, sigma and delta. So three types. There are three types of subunits in each opioid receptor. One opioid receptor is present on presynapse and the other opioid receptor is present on postsynapse. Here I am indicating you one more opioid receptor. Here you can see. Right? And this opioid receptor consists of three subunits. One is mu and kappa both are same into one category, sigma and delta. So these are the three main subunits which consists of the subunits which have some endogenous, here I am indicated here, endogenous opioid peptides. So what happens, our body or our system is so useful so that some types of pain may be masked and some types of pain may be just came and just diversify itself and mingle with our system. And that type of pain controllers are always present in our body, no need of taking any other drug. So that type of receptors were called as endogenous opioid peptides. They are made up of peptides. So we can call them as endogenous peptides or opioid peptides. So there are three types of endogenous opioid peptides which are present in our body. That means our system is so making natural and so helpful and so beautifully made so that the pain is being controlled ourselves by a little extent, and that is done by three natural pain peptide opioid receptor peptides. So they are called as enciphacanins, dynorphins, endonorphins. Enciphacanins, dynorphins, endonorphins. Enciphacanins, dynorphins, endorphins. So these are the three types of naturally existing endogenous opioid peptides in our body. Now we'll see what these three types of natural receptors are doing onto the opioid receptors. So let me erase this and continue with that. Now these endoenciphacanins are related to enciphacanins are related to kappa and mu. This dynorphins are related to sigma, though it acts on kappa and mu. And next, endorphins they act on delta subunit. And next we'll see where these type of both of them are distributed pattern, how they are distributed all over the body. Distribution pattern. They are beautifully distributed in the areas of spinal. That means spinal and supraspinal. Nothing but the spinal cord. Supraspinal means the above level. That means spinal cord and CNS system. Spinal cord and CNS system. That is by the top of the brain. And now we'll go for the dynorphins. These are always usually represent peripherally. That means below your system, peripherally on spinal cord. And these particularly are used as sedatives, nothing but to give you the anesthesia, to support your anesthesia. So dynorphins will help you at that place. And sedation to the body. And sedation. And finally we'll come to the endorphins. They are all present on the hormones. FSH hormone, it decreases FSH hormone, it increases GH hormone and prolactin. So this is the work of endorphin. So if you see, they are all distributed widely all over the body to make it to control over the whole system naturally. So this the nature or the build-up of a body is so goodly natured or goodly proceeded for the natural part, and we can see that they are all always present in our body to control ourselves. As I told you, these ensicaphins are controlling your kappa and mu. Dynorphins are present onto the sigma and endorphins are present onto the delta subunits. And these ensicaphins are distributed over to the supraspinal and spinal systems. That means onto the brain system and onto the periphery system. And also dynorphins, which are present onto the sigma subunit of the opioid receptor, they are acting as anesthesia for particularly the sedative. That means the pain, whenever we want to do the anesthesia control, these dynorphins are used, and that particular the situation is blocked off. And also endorphins. These endorphins are working on to the delta subunit, and they are acting at the place of the hormonals. That means whatever the work is done by the hormonals, this is balanced by these natural endogenous peptides by FSH, nothing but your follicular stimulating hormone. It reduces itself and it is increasing your growth hormone, and it is decreasing your prolactin. Now we can in the next section we'll see the drugs what are related to opioid receptors. Bye for now.